Welcome to grade 8 and we'll start chapter 1 and this is going to be on linear functions and graphs. Now this is a really cool chapter. And why is it a really cool chapter? Because I think it's really the first time that you're going to see two very different things that you've been studying, which is algebra. So you've been studying some algebra and you've also been studying a very different thing, which is geometry. And these two things are going to come together in one chapter. That's we're going to study linear functions and graphs. Now, this has a really long and beautiful history, and I used Sora to generate this picture. So there are these three gentlemen who represent three different kinds of ideas. So the first one is Sharafuddin Tusi. So the first mathematician is Sharafuddin Tusi, and he is around 12th century Iran, and he sort of lays the crude ideas of functions and algebraic geometry. Then the second gentleman is Leibniz, and Leibniz is a German mathematician, Leibniz, and he's a German mathematician around the 17th century, and he really very explicitly states what a function is, which is sort of different from what Tusi did. Tusi had these ideas that were not very clear, and Tusi was in the 12th century. Leibniz in the 17th century really lays out what a function is. He's also, incidentally, the founder of a very important branch of mathematics, which is called calculus, that you will study when you go to A-levels. And then the third gentleman is Descartes, a very famous French mathematician, again in the 17th century, and he sort of laid the foundations of Cartesian coordinates and a lot of other philosophy, and he also made very seminal contributions in algebra. So sort of these three mathematicians represent very different strands that will all come into play in this chapter. Okay, so let's actually start doing some math. So let's imagine you live on a straight line. So if you live in a straight line, and let's say you live right around here. So this is your home. So I'll call your home O for your home, okay? And now you are living in a one-dimensional world, which means the only option that you have is you can travel along the red line. That's the only option you have. And now you have various friends who live in various places. So maybe you have a friend here, friend A, and then you have another friend B who live in different places. You have your friends A and B, and what you want to do is you want to give the directions to somebody that where does friend A live. Now note that you can only travel along the red line. So let's assume that each one of these is 1 unit. So I'm going to assume this is like maybe this distance is maybe 1 kilometer, okay? So now what you can do is you can tell somebody that your friend A, if you want to precisely locate friend A, you can say go down the red road and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So friend A is going to be at 5 kilometers from your house. And similarly, friend B, so this was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and friend B is going to be at 9 kilometers. It's all very easy. Now, you may also have friend C who lives sort of halfway between the two. So here's friend C, and let's get friend C. So here's friend C who maybe lives somewhere right over here is friend C. So now friend C is not at a whole number distance, but he's somewhat halfway between two whole numbers. So let's see. So probably friend C is like halfway between 6 and 7. So maybe friend C, you can say, is at 6.5 kilometers distance away from you. So now you can see that with this very simple labeling, I can precisely locate a point on the red line just by giving one number associated to that point. That works really well, okay? But now let's imagine that you no longer live in a one-dimensional grid, but you live on in a two-dimensional world.